Hi, everybody. I'm back and I'm still tired. As always, this case is about Abby and Libby and hopefully justice finally being served. Thank you so much to everybody who generously donated. Seriously, from the generous to the very generous, I truly appreciate some people helping out with my travel costs, my car rental, and my lodging. Seriously, I'm so appreciative. Thank you. If you also want to donate, under the description for this video is how to donate to the Abby and Libby. Each of them have a memorial fund, and there's also a memorial park. I've given a few $100s to each of them, and my last time I was here in May for the canceled hearings, I went over to the park, and it's a beautiful, huge park that obviously it costs money. If you want to donate, click the link below. So I'm still in the area. And I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning and I have 9 pages, you can't see it, of notes, which I'm going to start in like a hot minute as people join. Let me just look at a few comments and then I'll start because I know you guys all want to hear what happened. So the two witnesses who were today were, what was his name? I wish I was taking a nap. No, right now, no offense. Jake Johns, who I'll just give you a quick update. He is one of the people who saw the clothing across the creek. After that was Pat Brown, also formerly known as Orange Truck Guy. He found the bodies. So there's some stuff that has finally been cleared up. I will start in like 30 seconds. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Your nice comments. Kate, he started. Yeah, I slept. I went to bed at 10 o'clock. I was exhausted. I had like 1 hour of sleep in like 40 hours. I randomly woke up at 5 o'clock. I was not going to go to the hearings today, and I was like, I'm up. Let me just go. There were a lot less people there today, so everybody got in. I think I was the 8th in line at around 5:30 a.m. So you want to hear what happened? I'm about to start. As I did yesterday, I'm just reading my notes. I have not written on pieces of paper in a long time, so forgive me for stuttering. Forgive me for trying to interpret my handwriting, and here we go. Day 2, page 8 of Tom's notes. Rick was wearing a light green button-down like dress shirt. His glasses were on his head again. I have some random observations. Family, how do you sit 15 feet from the man accused of killing your family members? So like Rick is sitting at the defense table and like Abby and Libby's family is like 15 feet away. It's like, how do you stand or sit so close to somebody who's accused of taking away your children? There was some guy who was there. He stood in line and he said he previously went to the Kyle Rittenhouse trial in Illinois and he had like a boa. He left anyway. I was like, whatever. Anyway, that was an interesting person and he's irrelevant. So here we go. It started at 9:03 a.m. Nick McClelland showed Brad Rosie some handouts before it, like the jury came in. On the TV, so there's a huge, on the left-hand side, there's a huge, like maybe, I don't even know, 7-foot by 5-foot TV. That's for the jury to see. Today, it was showing Google Maps of like the, whatever, if you saw some of my previous videos about the case, you know, like it's like a Google satellite image of from like Hoosier Heartland Highway, including CPS and also down to Ron Logan's property. Can someone say yes so you can hear me? So I'm not talking for an hour. Just one person say yes. Hi, scumbag trag. Yeah, I'm due for a nap. No, I'm not staying at the Parisian room. Yes, okay. Continuing. Thank you. Steve Mullen, who's the, okay, so let me see here. Steve Mullen was the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office investigator. Oh, I guess he was the first witness. I thought there was only 2. Sorry, that's how tired I am. Yeah, so Steve Mullen was the first of 3 witnesses. I'm sorry. So Steve Mullen, Jake Johns, and Pat Brown. So Steve Mullen is the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office investigator since 2020. He's been in law enforcement since 1983. and does training on an annual basis. Today, his job role includes following up on cases, organizing and handling evidence. He's also the tech guy, organizing digital data. So on February 13th, 2017, he was the chief of the Delphi Police Department, and he was that role since 2014. February 13th, on the day of the murders, he was on duty, and his job was supervising officers. Normally, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. He went home, and I guess he kept his police radio on so he could hear what's going on. And he heard that there were 2 missing girls, and he got text messages from citizens, and he contacted dispatch. Exhibit number 5 was the map on the TV that I just described, like a Google satellite image. Mullen got off the stand and approached the TV. Also, a hard copy of this map was given to each juror for their notes. Actually, McClelland said, "Is it okay?" And Gull approved. So he gave each jury member a copy. So he said the girls entered at the mirror's entrance, and he zoomed in on the large screen TV. Mullen called the Delphi school principal and guidance counselors to try and contact any friends of Abby and Libby to see if they could find out if they knew where the girls were at. He also spoke to searchers, and there was an advanced center, and he said it was basically just Tobe Lesenby, and he contacted Tobe to see if he could assist him. Mullen did not personally go out and search. He was in the dispatch at Carroll County Sheriff's Office until 2 a.m. on the 14th. That's when they ended the search. What McClelland said, "What were you investigating?" 2 missing girls. They could have been injured. They had no idea about any nefarious things that had happened to the girls. Yeah, just an FYI, if the transcripts ever come out, and you might want to nobody's going to spend time comparing what I'm writing. Give me a break. I did the best I could. I might have gotten slight things wrong, but it's generally what was conveyed. So, something about nefarious. So, he had no idea if a nefarious thing had happened. McClelland said, "Can you explain nefarious?" Mullen is singular, not plural. Mullen believed that the girls would end up returning unharmed, and that no one had harmed them. So the following day, the 14th, at 7:30 a.m., he arrived at the police department, and a lot of people showed up. And so he met with some volunteers and went to the Delphi Fire Department Command Center. They took down the names and phone numbers of searchers, and they were giving out some kind of maps to the searchers. They wanted to search the Monon Trail area. He did not command the searchers to go to any specific areas. Again, I guess he went back to the stand for a while, and then he went back to the map TV. In the evening and the morning, they were searching downstream from Monon High Bridge. I wrote down, anybody crossed this line. Sometimes I was looking at my notes most of the time, so I missed a few things that were happening if I was looking. So McClelland said, "Can you name some of these landmarks?" So City of Delphi, Freedom Bridge. At that point, Libby's mom, Carrie, offered a cough drop to the BOA dude, and he said, "No, thank you." But I thought that was nice of Libby's mom to offer him a cough drop. He ended up leaving soon after. Beginning, so on the map, he marked on the beginning and the end of Monon High Bridge. You can write on this large TV. I said they're writing in red. I said they need to change it to white because you can't really see the red. Anyway, Baldwin interrupted. What did he say? Thought client, sorry. Oh, so thought didn't search past certain point, so you don't know. Object to speculation where the people were searching. McClelland said, "I'll just move on from this topic." And I guess the objection by Baldwin was they dropped it. Page 9. Mullen went back to sit on the stand. So on the 14th at the fire department, helped all day, never assisted in person with searching. At 12:15 on the 14th, there was a call from Pat Brown. He located the 2 bodies. We'll get to how he had his phone number later when Pat Brown testifies. So Mullen informed officers. Show on the map where the bodies are. It was south of the cemetery. He circled like the general area. Then he went back to the stand. At 2 p.m., he met with the families at the fire department with Kim Riley. He was the Indiana State Police spokesperson for a while. He's the guy who had like really blue eyes and gray hair. And also the chaplain. And they said that they found the two bodies and they're trying to ID them. Around 7 o'clock, he got a call from Tom Mears. We all hear about this Mears intersection. They have this farm across from the entrance to the trails. That's known as like the Mears entrance, the Mears lot. So Tom Mears told Mullen, I know there's a camera at Hoosier Harvest Store on 300. So then I think Mullen got up again and went to the map and showed where Hoosier Harvest Store is. He also described the view range of this Hoosier Harvest Store camera. He said it shows 300 north, and he drew the field of view of the camera. He kind of went towards CPS. It does not include CPS. It was kind of hard for me to say. It looked like it might have gone to like a tree line across from the house. So how am I going to do this? I'm the worst at this stuff. Picture you're in the driveway of Hoosier Harvest Store camera, like the camera's up here. So if you're looking out towards 300 on the left, there's a really big like Christmas tree. And there's maybe like a house towards the right. So it's at a fairly large angle from the driveway out to the right is the field of view of the Hoosier Harvest Store camera. They did not show the video yet. So he did that. He said it was towards or I don't know if he said it was towards CPS. I think I wrote, but not that far. He viewed the footage from daylight because it's not really visible of cars when it's dark. So he said, I guess on the 13th, he looked at footage from 8 a.m. to around 5:30 or 6 p.m. He took cell phone pictures on his phone of these different cars to preserve information of some of the cars. He was at Hoosier Harvest Store for about 45 to 60 minutes looking at this footage. I guess you can scroll through and see whenever there's a car, you could stop. I'm saying that, not him. Time for a drink. Cheers, everybody. It's water again. Hi, 462 people. Here we go. I'm on page 9 of, I think, 17. I'm reviewing Mullen. I should probably write it on the bottom. No, I'm too busy. Sorry. Actually, here we go. I'm going to do it. Please stand by. Hopefully I'm spelling his first name wrong. Or right, sorry, not wrong. There we go. Let me take off this comment. I think I lost a shoot. Sorry, please stand by. I can't find it. Let me just highlight somebody else and then delete it. There we go. Continuing on. If I can find it, give me a second. Okay, here we go. So he was at Hoosier Harvest Store for 45 to 60 minutes reviewing cars that went by all day on the 13th. 2024, he saw drone footage. I don't know if it's saw. So they took drone footage, which I'll get to in a second. So this was the next part of his testimony. He worked with the sheriff from some law enforcement agency. I could not hear like which town or whatever. And they used the drone to take photo and video. They did it on February 13th of 2024 to get as close as possible to like the foliage and stuff. So there have been improvements to the bridge and trail since 2017. So apparently yesterday, I told you when they started in the morning, the very first part of the opening statements by McClelland were going to be a video, and they could not figure out how to use it. And it's like, that's why at the beginning of this, he said he was like the tech guy, but he could not get the tech to work. Anyway, I'm not judging, just saying. So apparently yesterday afternoon, they played the video and Kelsey participated in this video. And apparently, I think it started where she dropped them off. And maybe I don't know if she walked towards the start of Mona High Bridge for this entire video, just recreating, I guess, the steps that Abby and Libby did, which, I mean, it's incredible for Kelsey to agree to do that. Obviously, she'll do anything to get justice for her sister and Abby. Back to my notes. So February 13th, 2024, they took drone footage. So it's from Freedom Bridge to Monon High Bridge, and it takes 9 minutes of video. So it started at Freedom Bridge, like that circle entrance around there. There is a kiosk there at the start of the trail that was not there in 2017. I wrote that the trees were more bare on the right-hand side than I would have expected, but they may have taken some down since 2017. Let's see. I wrote that the video was slow and there was like an awkward silence as everybody was just like watching it. McClelland gave a thumb drive to Andrew Baldwin, which essentially was probably this video on the thumb drive. Mullen said that the fence and the barrier on the right-hand side was not there in 2017. For those of you who are aware of this the trail, I think it's around bench 3. They kind of like clear, maybe there's like I don't want to say a landslide on the right-hand side, but whatever, we'll keep it moving. It's not important. So at this time, Rick was looking at the TV from the defendant's table. He sits next to Rosie all the time. McClelland said the benches are pretty much the same. And Mullen said, yeah. And I was like, I don't think so. Benches all there in 2017. And Mullen said, to my knowledge, but honestly, I don't think that's correct. I think they removed bench 2 after the renovation. I could be wrong. I'm not sure that bench 1 on the right was in that spot in 2017. Not sure that it matters, at least for bench 1. Moving along. So approaching Monon High Bridge. So it's very slow, like as they're going with this drone. He said there were various improvements since 2017, like the kiosk, railings on the bridge, and the entrance to the bridge was made safer. Previously, it's like the railroad ties at the start of the trail, the high bridge. I mean, it was very like spaced out, like me. And they now have like cement that goes up to the start of the bridge. That's easier to actually get on the bridge. The unimproved area is the second half of Monon High Bridge. So if you've seen anything recent, they redid the first half. There's railings on the side, and then about halfway through-ish, there's like a gate that you can't even open, and then it has the old railroad ties or track to the end of the bridge. So that's like considered the unimproved second half. Whatever. Rick was still looking at the TV at this point. Platform 3 or 4. Oh yeah, so McClelland asked Mullen how many platforms were there, and he said 3 or 4. And I felt saying like, no, there's 6, there's 3 on each side, but I don't want Auntie Gull to yell at me. Anyway, he said the platforms were on opposing sides. The drone video showed more limbs now than before, because not as many people are walking to the very far end of the bridge because of that gate that is now stopping anybody who wants to walk on the bridge. So, one second. Mullen graduated from Delphi High School, and McClelland said, what kind of people crossed the bridge in 2017? Adults? And Mullen said, some. McClelland said, who is more inclined to do it? And I don't know if he suggested teenagers and young people, and Mullen said yes, but essentially they said usually younger people. Something end of the bridge. Oh yeah, at the end of the bridge is Weber's driveway, which goes under the bridge. I'm sure you all know that. On the stand, no other questions. Okay, time for Andrew Baldwin to do his cross-examination. You've been involved in the investigation since the beginning to now. Yes. The search was called off at 2 a.m. Yes, it was the answer. And Baldwin said 2 a.m. That's before 4:33 a.m. And Mullen said, yes, correct. On the 14th, were you aware that there was a dog search of the cemetery? Mullen said, I don't know. Aware that there was interest. Give me 1 second. Aware, interest, search. I guess were you aware there's an interest in searching the cemetery? And the response was later on the 14th. Do you agree that things changed in ways since 2017? Yes. Improvements like the railing. You stated more overgrowth. You stated more overgrowth and brush in 2024. So visibility was better in 2017. He answered correct. At the end of the Weber property, there's less overgrowth. And he said, my understanding. Yep, he said, that's my understanding. Page 10. Baldwin says, so best representation would be video from 2017. Answer was yes. He was done. So if you guys have not seen any of this stuff previously, like these reviews of how the trials work, after the prosecution and defense are finished with their questions, Judge Gull is asking the jury members, do you have any questions for this witness? And they write down questions during the testimony, and then they give it to the bailiff, who gives it to Judge Gull. She looks at it and she reads it. So Gull said, jury, do you have any questions? They collected a few pieces of paper. So Gull added white noise. So white noise is like shh. So she's allowed to push a button when she meets with the attorneys in the corner and yells at them. No, I'm kidding. So I wrote Gull, white noise, talk to McClelland and Baldwin behind the TV. At this time, Rick was swiveling in his chair a little, mostly still. Question number 1 from the jury. This is the juror's question to Stephen Mullen, the former Delphi police chief. What was your thought process when looking downstream? He said the possibility they fell off the bridge. It's 63 feet up off the creek water. Something, maybe we thought they were injured and had gone downstream or floated downstream. Question number 2. Can you provide clarity where the bodies were found? So this question was kind of weird. The question was something similar to, can you provide clarity where the bodies were found? Near Deer Creek or the reservoir near Deer Creek? I never heard of any kind of reservoir being referenced in this area, and neither did Mullen, because he was kind of confused. He said they were found along Deer Creek on the north side of the creek. Gull said, please approach the map to show. So Mullen pointed to the area. McClelland said, did you actually go to the crime scene? Not when the bodies were there, he said. So he zoomed in to Morning Heights Cemetery. So that cemetery that we've always talked about is called Morning Heights. McClelland said, is there a ditch or ravine as you come from the cemetery down to the crime scene? Yes, there's an erosion area. And he pointed to where the bodies were found. Baldwin said the girls were found in a flat area. Correct. So it's like a ravine going down, but where Abby and Libby were found, it's more like flat. Baldwin says, point to the Weber property. McClelland said, go to Weber property and look where the girls found. Sorry, I'm not sure what that means. So McClelland said, go to the Weber property and look where girls found. The answer was yes, sometime in February 2017. So I guess maybe he was saying, did you ever go to the end of the private drive and stand up at the Weber's property that kind of looks down in that area? And did you like look in that general area where the girls were found? And Mullen said, yes, not on the day of the murders or the day after, but sometime in the month of February 2017. He could not see the area where they were found. That's what he said. Baldwin said, could you see the general area? Sure, was the answer. Juror question number 3. Was the drone more average walking pace? Oh, sorry, did the drone move at an average walking pace? This is kind of confusing. Mullen said yes. The original video was 1x speed, but he made it 2x to resemble teenagers walking faster than an adult, I guess, who took it. So McClelland said the video is that we saw for 9 minutes or so was at 2 times the original speed from the drone. Mullen said yes. Juror question number 4. Would it take 9 minutes from Freedom Bridge to the end of Monon High Bridge? Mullen said yes, somewhere give or take 2 minutes. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So the question was something like, would it take approximately 9 minutes? I have a word here. I'm not sure what it says. It's not important. So the jury wanted to know how long would it take from Freedom Bridge to the end of Monon High Bridge. Mullen said, yes, essentially 9 minutes, give or take 2 minutes. So Baldwin said, so you believe 9 minutes? Mullen said, just a guess. You have to take various things into consideration. Hard to guess. He said the original footage is 20 minutes. So I've looked at a variety of videos, and it seems like in general, it takes 15 minutes from Freedom Bridge to the start of Monon High Bridge. And the quickest to get from the start of Monon High Bridge to the end south side, is 5. So to me, 20 minutes is how long it takes from Freedom Bridge to the very end of Monon High Bridge. Not sure that it matters. That's page 10. We're on to page 11 of 17. That's it with Mullen. Whoops. Please stand by. Reviewing testimony of Jake Johns, which I don't even know if I've ever heard his name. Top of page 11, next witness, Jake Johns. He's older. He's wearing a peach or pink t-shirt. He had a tattoo. I couldn't see what it was. I couldn't zoom in either. All right, so Diener, Stacy Diener was the one who was questioning Jake Johns. So he had kind of, I guess, a soft voice like me. And so she said, I guess he touched the microphone, and she said, no, that's for the court reporter to write back the testimony. It's not for amplification. So that's that. She asked him, have you been a Delphi lifelong resident? Yes. Did you know the Germans in 2017? Yes. So Libby's family, the Germans. His wife worked with Becky. So yesterday during the testimony by Becky, she said she had an assistant for her home appraisal business, and that woman is Jake's wife. Did you know Abby's family? And I think he said no. It was kind of hard to hear sometimes. On February 13th, how did you learn Abby and Libby were missing? Yes, his wife told him they were missing. He did not assist with the search on the 13th. He works at a propane delivery company, I think in Delphi. So on the 14th, he did search. He went to work around 8 o'clock in the morning, and his boss asked his employees to help with the search and not actually work. So he went with some guy named Shane, and I wrote this guy's name down 5 different ways because I could not hear it. It may be Haywood. I wrote Leapid, Hayden, Hayvid, and I think it might be Haywood. Anyway, it's not important. So remember just Shane. And Shane and Jake work at the propane company. They went out in the morning of the 14th to help with searching. They used their personal vehicles, not their work vehicle. There's some kind of mention about the fire department and the command center. They did not go there. I guess they were told the area to search is the High Bridge. So what they were looking for was clothing and that tie-dye shirt. So I guess from his wife said Libby was last wearing a tie-dye shirt. So they're kind of keeping their eye out for a tie-dye shirt. They parked at Riley Park, which I think is close to Marathon gas station, if you've ever seen a map of Delphi. If you're looking at the crime scene areas to the left of a satellite map. Where are we here? So for this part, they didn't use the TV. They put a really big map on an easel. It was there's maybe a 6 foot by 6 foot picture of Google Maps, which I don't know why they couldn't use the TV. So it included Hoosier Heartland Highway, Freedom Bridge to Monon High Bridge, but I think the downtown area was cut off on the left-hand side. So where in relation to High Bridge did you start searching? Riley Park. As walked, follow riverbed to Monon High Bridge, it took 4 hours. So they went from Riley Park. If you're looking at the satellite, it goes to the right towards Monon High Bridge. They walked slow along the river. So if you're looking at the satellite picture on the bottom, so here's Deer Creek. They were on like the bottom side of that picture. As they walked, they followed the riverbed to Monon High Bridge. Like I just said, it took 4 hours. So he went back to the stand. So how is your spacing with Shane? And they said, he said 10 feet. Shane looked at the water and Jake looked at the river banks. So they went from about 8:30 at Riley Park and until noon when they got to under Monon High Bridge. Well, he said under Monon High Bridge. Then he said found clothing in water. Shirt, a tie-dye shirt that was hung up on roots in the water. Can tell it was a shirt because of the color stood out, yellow, pink, blue. They never walked in the water during their search. So he said they went on 625, which is the private drive, and they talked to a fireman from Camden town or county. E is the first name, I think, or the initial, and the last name Harrison. It said here, found clothing. Talk to firemen, found clothing. Consider crossing the water. No, stayed on south bottom side the entire way. The fireman walked to the clothing through the creek. So Shane and Jake, they were up on the driveway at the end of the private drive, the Weber's driveway. Diener asked, did you communicate to the fireman? Not really. He did confirm we found the shirt and black Nike shoe, I'm sorry. Which to me, we've all seen, or most of us have seen this photo of Libby's tie-dye shirt on the left, a white item in the middle, and then one of her black Nike sneakers like upside down. I've never been able to figure out the white object, and he didn't reference that. He said we found the t-shirt and black Nike shoe. I wrote shoes, but I'm almost certain he just said one shoe. Just in case anybody's wondering, whatever. Do you see anyone searching in area? Sorry. Oh, I don't know. Wait. Do you see anyone searching an area? I wrote Deer Creek to cemetery. No one was searching that side. So I guess there was nobody. So we know that the clothing, have you guys all seen it? I don't know. It's close to like the top side of the creek, the north side of the creek. So I think what Dean was saying, did you see anybody searching on the north side of the creek? And he said, no. No one was searching that side. Did you go Weber Drive to the bridge? I think he said they went up a little bit, and I wrote elevated 10 to 15 feet, but I put 2 question marks. When I can't hear, I write 2 question marks, so I'm not exactly sure. See people search in crime scene area? No. Prior to bridge, people were searching on opposite side. Yes. On your side? No. I don't know. This is kind of confusing, so I'm sorry. I wrote, or maybe the question was, did you call or contact law enforcement to say you found the clothes? The fireman did. We contacted somebody. Hold on. We contacted somebody. It looks like we're liked that side to check around same time fireman went over. Give me a second. I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't figure out what I wrote. It says we contacted somebody liked that side to check out around same time fireman went over. I'm not sure what that means. So then what I wrote next is Pat Brown. Oh yeah, so they contacted Pat Brown. Jake did not personally know Pat Brown. Brad German, his wife, Kelsey, and one other name I could not hear showed up around the time Pat Brown was coming down the hill. Jake had never been to the trail or Monon High Bridge. He never heard of it, even though he grew up in Delphi. That's page 11. Still on Jake Johns, page 12 of 17-ish. Did you see or hear Pat Brown? So at this point, Shane and Jake are on the south side of the creek, and Pat Brown is coming down from the cemetery because Shane, we'll find out later, Shane called Pat to say, we see clothes on the other side of the creek. I think he said maybe the fireman is going to check it out. Can you come down from the cemetery to that area? So Diener said, did you see or hear Pat Brown? Not see, but heard him coming. Shane on the phone with him. Pat Brown said, I found the body. So Pat Brown was just coming down to look at the clothing from the cemetery down to the north side of the creek. And as he was walking, he came upon the bodies. Quote, we have found the bodies, end quote. Can't see Pat Brown or Abby and Libby from the other side. So he's on the south side. He cannot see Pat Brown. He cannot see the bodies of Abby and Libby. After left Weber driveway, not sure what that means. I guess after he left, give me 1 second. I don't know. I just wrote after left Weber driveway. There was a photo of clothing from your side of the water. He did not take that photo, but is familiar with it. Exhibit 7 showed the photo. They did not show this photo on the screen. What he observed. Yes. So I guess Diener said, this is a photo of the clothing. Is this what you observed? Jake said yes. Apparently this got changed to Exhibit 8 because Exhibit 7 was the screenshot of something, I guess a map that McClellan showed earlier. They gave photos of the clothing to the jury. He, Jake, never crossed the creek. So the defense, Jennifer Auger, now asked some questions. In your 2019 statement to Rich Davies, who I think, wasn't he like an FBI guy? Anyway, I wrote, up on Access Road, Shane saw footprints. I'm sorry, that's not true. Strike that from the record. Shane saw shoe prints near water. Mark of a slide disturbed at edge of creek. That's new information. Did you tell? So let me just stop that. Shoe prints were near. So Shane said he saw shoe prints near, I guess, the south side of the creek, which obviously people wonder, did they cross the creek? Apparently there were some shoe prints and mark of a slide disturbed, like dirt at the edge of the water, like somebody maybe fell down and like whatever, put the dirt and stuff like that, or any kind of like grass going down. Does everybody understand? Sorry, I'm falling behind comments, but we're still going. 5 more pages. So did you tell law enforcement? I could not hear his answer. Sorry. Was the shirt easy to see? Yes. Around 12 to 12:30. Was the water deep? Yes. So this is Auger from the defense asking questions. Was the water deep? Yes. Flowing pretty well? Not really. Did you ever go in the water? No. I wrote weird, only one fireman. So I guess maybe Auger said, did you think it was weird that there was only one fireman there? And I think Jake said, yes, correct. He said correct. On the access road, which I guess is the private drive, you could not see over here. And I think she was like pointing towards the bodies, and Jake said no. But could you hear Pat Brown? And he said, yeah. So he could hear Pat Brown moving on the north side of the creek. I don't know if he's on the driveway, in the Weber's driveway. So it's kind of weird that, I mean, if you know the area, I think that's like over, I don't know, 100 yards. So he said he could hear him moving like through the grass and stuff and the leaves. I don't know if he used that exact wording, but he said he could hear Pat Brown, but not actually see him on the opposite side of the creek. So Auger said, sound travels pretty well out there. I couldn't hear the answer, but I think he said yeah. So obviously the defense is going to want to say, nobody heard Abby and Libby scream. They probably did not get killed at whatever, 3:30 or whatever. So they're, I guess, trying to establish if this guy can hear Pat Brown across the creek just walking, how did nobody hear Abby and Libby scream or anything? So that was the end of Auger asking Jake. And Diener said, you heard him rustle, excuse me, time for a drink. So Diener said to Jake, you could hear him, Pat Brown, rustling downhill. And I guess the answer was could not see from elevated area on opposite side. So I guess that's the private drive area. Sorry if I'm not being clear. So Auger came back and said, did you know where the voice was coming from? Yeah, straight across. So he could, at some point, he could hear Pat Brown talking, but I guess he could not see him. Gull asked the jury any questions. No. So we had a 15-minute break. That was at 10:28. Jacob John. Oh yeah. So I wrote this. So I stayed in the courtroom during the break, and Jake Johns came back with Auger after most of the people left, and Auger brought him over to this really large map and was pointing to like spots on the map, like kind of like in the crime scene area and maybe like the private drive. And Gull was watching this for a while, and then she like got up. So I wrote, why was this happening off the record? It lasted about 90 seconds with Auger and Jake Johns just looking at the map, and I guess him clarifying something. What did I write here? Rick looked away from me as soon as he saw me looking at him. Anyway, that's a good thing. Most people do that. What did I write? Oh, yeah. So Rick was standing for a while, drinking from his water bottle. I wrote, weird, relaxed atmosphere. An accused killer is 15 feet from the families, and we're just all like standing around. Brad Rosie and Andrew Baldwin laughed while looking at a cell phone. So Rosie showed his cell phone to Baldwin, and they were laughing at it. Probably my live chat from last night. That was page 12. Please stand by. Page 13, resume after break at 10:45. I guess during the break, I wrote Auger. After Auger talked to Jake Johns about the map, I saw Auger go like this to Baldwin and Rosie, but only Baldwin went to the map with Auger. And they were looking at the same spot that she was just looking at with Jake. Am I allowed to tell this stuff to you, nosy people? Then McClelland was showing Rosie some TV capabilities. I heard him say it was like a computer within the TV. Carrie, Libby's mom, smiled, and it kind of looked like Libby's smile, and that was kind of sad to see. But also, every time Carrie smiles, it's like Libby smiling. So Carrie should smile as much as possible. There was a chair behind me with some police officers, and it was squeaking a lot. I was going to offer to buy some WD-40 or take it myself and oil every single chair in the courthouse so it doesn't squeak. What's this? Oh yeah, I just wrote Rick is like when he's in court, it's like he's a little bit free, but when it's over, he has to go to the loneliness of his cell. I wrote, I admire the jury for taking like a month out of their lives just to try and get justice for whoever. I guess Rick, Abby, and Libby will see their answer in a month. Gull reminded everybody we're going to around noon. McClelland said during the break they got some screenshots that they printed out of Exhibit 7 and they're going to publish it to the jury. And Gull said, yeah, go ahead. Gull said you can keep that photo in your folders. Next up, Stacey Diener for the prosecution called Pat Brown, who's this guy. Let me just review some of the stuff. Let me sit up. So a lot of us who've looked at this case for a long time, we know Pat Brown. I've always like tried to protect the privacy of these people's names. So I've called him Orange Truck Guy because there's helicopter footage from the 14th and it shows the cemetery, and in the corner is an orange pickup truck. This guy, Pat Brown, a lot of people accused him of being the killer. There was a rumor that he lost his keys, and people wondered, including myself, did he lose them in the woods because he was the killer? There was this rumor that like his wife had to come pick him up. Apparently it might have been on like the radio or something. The key issue did not come up at all. And some other stuff gets clarified, some long-standing rumors. So let me have one more drink and then I'll get to this. Oh, I have to change my thing. So for lunch, while I'm doing this, somebody very nice sent me $10 for Dairy Queen For lunch, I went to White Castle, which is like a hamburger place, like that's all grease. And at the time, the person gave me $10 and said, go to Dairy Queen and get a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Blizzard. So there was a Dairy Queen right next door, and I felt obligated to also get that. So thank you to the person who gave me $10 for that. Now back to more important things. Pat Brown finally giving some testimony. Stacy Diener asking Pat Brown questions. So you've lived in Delphi? Yes, always. Works in Lafayette, which is where I went to White Castle. Were you familiar with the Monon High Bridge in 2017? Yes. I don't know if his answer was yes, but she said, was your home near Monon High Bridge? Yes, approximately 1.5 to 2 miles away. I wrote, road passes along Mears. Familiar? Yes. So she's looking at this map and showing 300, saying, are you familiar with this 300 that goes past the Mears house, farm, entrance to the trails? He said yes. Were you familiar with Libby and her family? Yes. He has known Mike Patty since high school. Pat's daughter, I think he said, is the same age as Kelsey German. Did you know Abby Williams? No. In 2017, he was doing shift work as a maintenance person. His hours were Monday through Friday, 7 to 3. Do you recall February 13th was a day off school? Yes. Did you work? Yes. Sorry, yes. Were you aware Abby and Libby were missing? Yes. I got off at 3. Something on his way home. He stopped for a car part. He then changed his oil of his wife's car because they were selling it, an SUV. And then he and his wife, I guess, drove to Monticello or Monticello, however you want to pronounce it. And then they got back home, they ate supper, and they were watching TV. And his wife said, Becky Patty posted on Facebook that the girls were missing. So he called Mike Patty, since they've been friends since high school, and he asked if they had been found. Mike Patty was at the police station, so Pat Brown offered to help. Was it dark? Yes. So Pat Brown called Tom Mears. We talk about this Mears property in the family. I guess this is one of the guys. He said Pat said Tom is his buddy, and he asked if he wanted to help look for the girls, and that they would meet at the High Bridge. So Pat said he went to the cemetery, parked, walked around the cemetery, and then he got off the stand to show where he was walking on the map on the TV, or maybe the printout. And he showed the way he drove to get to the cemetery. He stopped at Ron Logan's house and asked if he had seen the girls. Ron was retired, so he wanted to know if he saw the girls walk by. Diener said, was there anything unusual in that excuse me, Thomas to burp. Sorry, it's live, whatever, keep it moving. Was there anything unusual in your conversation with Ron Logan? No. He did not see the girls. So he drove to the cemetery in his vehicle, not a car, a vehicle. It depends where you are in America, whether you say vehicle, car, or vehicle. And so he said there's a ravine that runs through here. So it's kind of like south of the cemetery, going down towards the creek. He referenced a ravine. Ravine runs through here. I wrote, hear people on the bridge and see lights, like flashlights, with people looking in the dark. Ravine to bridge. I guess that's the route he took. I wrote vehicle, bridge. Oh, there was a vehicle at the bridge. So I think it was like at the start of Monon High Bridge. There's like a trail that goes to Ron Logan's. I think what he was saying is like maybe a truck or some kind of car, like back that thing up into that area. And he said, getting a drone out. We've heard like a heat-seeking drone for so long. All he said was they were getting a drone out. He talked to those people, and then he left towards the Mears entrance. I wrote Tom Mears. Maybe he met them there. Oh, no, I wrote Tom Mears called, met on 300. They drove to Hoosier Heartland Highway. And I guess they were driving around town looking for the girls. They drove like towards Hoosier Heartland Highway. He referenced 218, which might be like some kind of road number. He said we went around old something. I could not hear what he said. They came out by Mike and Becky Patty's house and went back around. So they're driving around looking for the girls. The next part is part to west of ravine to trail. Familiar. Sorry, I'm not sure exactly what that's about. So like the ravine, maybe he said, I like walk. She may have asked, were you familiar with like walking down the cemetery to the ravine to the left, like towards Mullen High Bridge? I'm not sure what that interaction was about. So I'm just going to read what I wrote as he was talking. Part to west of ravine to trail, dash familiar. And then I wrote other area east, difficult to walk. In the dark, probably break a leg real easily in there. That's Pat Brown saying that. Walked to bridge. I thought he said walk to ridge, but I think he said walk to bridge. Really steep in some areas. So that's page 13. Page 14 of 17. Pat Brown never crossed Monon High Bridge that night on the 13th when they were searching. Flashlight. He did have a flashlight, and others had them. At Monon High Bridge and Mears was the question, did people have flashlights? I'm not sure. I wrote 2 question marks, which means I don't know exactly what they were talking about. Pat said they were random people out searching, not law enforcement officers. He brought him. Sorry, I'm trying to read this. He brought him back to truck. I'm not sure what that one word, B-A, I don't know. He brought him back to truck. Maybe he was talking about Tom Mears. Maybe they were together. Drove home to town for a can of Skoal, which is chewing tobacco. He stopped at the fire department. They had not had any update. I think Stacy Diener said, did you think the girls walked home? He said yes, or to town. So on the 4th, excuse me. So the next day on the 14th, he was supposed to work, but he called off work to help with the search. And then he drove to town. It was still dark when he drove. He got a coffee. He met John Randall, who was going to work at the police department, and he talked to John for a while. Then he drove home. His daughter, like I said, she was around the same age as Kelsey. His daughter was getting ready for school to take the bus. And then Pat went into town at the Stonehouse restaurant. I think he said he went with Tom Mears and he talked to maybe Tom and his father-in-law. Maybe he didn't go there with Tom. He just talked to Tom and maybe Tom's father-in-law at Stonehouse restaurant in town. I just wrote they got a coffee or something. So then he saw over at the fire department, things were going on about the search. Officer Mullen was heading up the search. And so Pat Brown got Mullen's phone number, I guess outside of the fire department. He did not know that Mullen was the Delphi police chief. Okay. Tom Mears and Pat Brown went to area. He then said, they said they were going to use helicopters in this area, I guess like near the cemetery. Then I wrote east of cemetery. Years ago, this is another rumor. Years ago, there was a cave inside of a hill. So they wanted to go check that. And when they got there, they realized that in the years since that rumor, well, the rumor is that Abby and Libby maybe went into a cave or a tunnel. Pat Brown said that tunnel since collapsed, aka since many years before 2017, and there were trees over the tunnel. So they went and checked other places. They went back to Tom Mears' house. Tom Mears was like, he has a sawmill and he was cutting wood or something. So then Pat Brown went home. He got a call from his daughter at school. She was feeling sick and wanted to be picked up. So he picked her up around 10:30 to 11, brought her home. The two of them had lunch. Building, set up, command center. So I cannot see exactly where they're pointing to, but I think it was the CPS parking lot, which police say Rick parked there. Rick said he parked next to an old building. this still going on? All right, sorry. Can anybody hear me? So then Pat Brown brought up this command center that he seemed to be talking about CPS. So if you've seen like helicopter footage from February 14th or drone footage, I've shown it in a few of my videos, some still shots of the CPS lot. There's like a larger truck there, and there's like cones and maybe 5 or 6 police cars. So I think that's what Pat Brown is talking about at CPS. There's some kind of command center. And he mentioned a trailer. So he left, Pat Brown left his house to go to that command center CPS. And then Tom Mears called and said, Shane Kgood, again, this is the guy who's with Jake Johns. They were the guys who walked along from Riley Park to finding the clothing in the creek. So I guess Tom called Shane Kgood, or maybe he got a call from Shane saying they had seen something along the creek, aka clothing, and they asked if they would go check what it was, and they said yes. So Jake and Shane walked along the creek. They met up with the fire department guy. They see the clothing in the creek. At some point, Shane and Jake called Tom Mears and Pat Brown, saying, "Will you guys like drive over to the cemetery, walk down that ravine to see the clothes, which were closer to that north side?" Part of that was me just interjecting some more information. So Pat Brown went to the cemetery, parked, and he knows Shane is on the south side of the creek. He tried to call Shane, but no answer. So he proceeded across the gate on the east side. Not sure what that is. He called Shane. See something behind cemetery? Wait, hold on. See something behind cemetery along creek. So I wrote walked that way. Pat Brown ran into Melissa Marchand. Becky Patty's her maiden name is like Becky Marchand. So I think this is one of Becky's sisters or maybe a sister-in-law. So Pat Brown was walking from the cemetery, like down through the woods or something, and he ran into Melissa Marchand. They spoke for a bit. Firemen walking along creek. I guess as Pat's walking down, maybe he could see a fireman walking towards on the north side of the creek. I wrote see water. Oh yeah, so Diener said, "Can you see the water from there?" So I guess as he's walking down the ravine, can you see Deer Creek? He answered, "A little." That's when he came across. I'm sorry. I wrote that's when he came across the creek, but the thing was that's when he came across the bodies of Abby and Libby. So as he's walking down to maybe meet or get a better look at the clothing, he sees Abby and Libby's bodies. First thought, I could not hear this. His first thought was they were males, or his first thought was they were mannequins. I could not hear what he said. I'm sorry. It was one of those two, I'm pretty sure. Then he's remembering what he saw and he started crying. He was standing up near the map. It was pretty sad. I guess he said we found them. Melissa ran the other way. So I guess to like go tell people, which I don't know exactly why, but he said Melissa ran the other way. I turned around. So he saw the bodies, horrible. He turned around, yelled, "We found them." He called Steve Mullen because he had gotten Steve's phone number at the fire department a few hours earlier. So he stood facing away from the bodies of Abby and Libby because he didn't want to look at them. Next up, Ben Mears, B-E-N Mears, I guess a relative of Tom. So Ben Mears and a guy came. So Ben Mears and one guy came. Firemen came from the west, one fireman. Then he mentioned 3 girls arrive. Did not get close to the girls. So Pat, wait, that's not true. Well, what I wrote was did not get close to girls. I don't know if he meant the bodies or these 3 girls that he saw. So I wrote did not get close to girls. Then they went to cemetery. I'm not sure how to interpret that. Sorry. Pat Brown stood with Ben Mears, and then law enforcement showed up. Law enforcement showed up. Yeah, law enforcement showed up. That's page 14. We're now on to page 15 of 17. So they brought out a new large photo that seemed, I wrote, to show, let me see, new photo to show who he saw and where. It was just a Google satellite image, a little bit closer view of like, it was not the crime scene. It was not like a picture of the crime scene. It was just like a satellite view from Google. So she said this was exhibit 2. Exhibit 3 is, I'm sorry, exhibit 2 was the prior Google satellite. Exhibit 3 was the closer look, which was like the cemetery at the top and then the woods more towards the bottom. Diener, more specific where you saw. Went to creek where Ben Mears and Guy were. The fireman, I guess, was wearing fireman clothes, and he was over here. I could not see where he was pointing. Ben Mears came from the west after Pat Brown saw the bodies. Did you know Melissa Marchand to be a relative? What I wrote is, know Melissa to be relative. She ran back the way we came. After he saw the bodies, could see area, but not girls. So I think this is what happened. So he sees the bodies, turns around, calls Mullen, and then he walks down further to the creek because there's other guys there. Once he's down at the north side of the creek, possibly, I'm not certain about this, possibly in the area near the clothing, he looks back in the area where he just saw the girls. He cannot see the bodies. He can see that like flat area, but standing on the north side of the creek, he cannot see, he said he could not see the bodies. Could see area, but not girls. If along edge of water, could you see the bodies? No. How close did you get to the bodies? 5 feet. No one with him got close to the bodies. So Stacey Diener was trying to find out, were people like messing with the crime scene, essentially, I guess. She asked him, like, how close were you? He said 5 feet, and then he turned away and got away. No one with him got close to the bodies. She asked Pat Brown, did you have a firearm on you that day? No. He did not see anyone on the other side of the water. So I guess on the south side of the water, he didn't see anybody. But not really paying attention after he found the girls. Obviously, he was upset. I wrote, guy, comma, fire department guy. Then law enforcement came. So I guess Pat Brown was with one guy and the fireman. Then law enforcement came and took the information of these 3 guys. And law enforcement asked these guys to leave the same way they came in. Other civilians were told to leave the way they came in. So he was back. Pat Brown went back on the stand, and Baldwin asked some questions. From the cemetery, can you hear people on the bridge? Pat Brown said on the 13th, so at night in the dark, yes. I wrote sound pretty good. I think that was Baldwin, like reaffirming that to the jury. Again, like trying to say, if Abby and Libby were killed on the 13th, why did nobody hear them scream? And since Pat Brown is saying on the 13th at night, I could hear people on the bridge, I think when he was like coming down from the cemetery area. Pat Brown could see flashlights in the woods, maybe not as far as like flashlights on the bridge. He didn't see clothing in creek. So he did not see clothing in the creek, I think at all, even on the 14th. Even though I just said he went down to that area, at some point today, he said he did not see the clothing in the creek. Ben, B-E-N, Ben Mears. I wrote where/when. Ben and Guy were walking along creek. At this point, I wrote Rick right shoulder twitched twice. So this is my right shoulder here. And Rick is like this, and he kind of like went like this. Just a random observation. Actually, no. So then I was not paying attention to the right thing. So Rick kind of went like this. I don't know what it was. I'm just saying. Then he looked. So Rick is here at the defense table. On the left is the prosecution. Holman, Jerry Holman, has been sitting there at the whole time. So Rick is here. Holman is like my arm's length at this point. They both look at each other and they both like look away real quick. I wrote here, I missed some testimony because I was being nosy looking at their interaction, so I'm sorry. Bottom of page 15, almost done. The steepness. Okay, so Baldwin is up at this really large photo, the satellite view, and says the steepness doesn't show on the photo. The girls were found in a flatter area. So he's kind of like telling the jury this. Baldwin asked Pat Brown, how many feet from the creek to the girls? I don't know. Were you told dogs were going to be searching? Yes, I heard that. Firemen coming along creek east to west. Oh, it's only 16 pages. I'm almost done. The next thing I wrote was just very steep areas. I'm not sure if that was Baldwin or Pat Brown. When you called Steve Mullen, where were you? Pat said, facing away from girls. Well, yeah, here we go. So Baldwin said, you had phone service there. Yes, I did. Long pause, like maybe 30 seconds. I was writing this stuff down. I'm not sure if Baldwin used it for like effect to be like, Pat Brown had phone service next to the bodies, 5 feet away ish. Why did Libby's phone not work from 5:44 p.m. on the 13th to 4:33 p.m. on the 14th? That's just my observation of that. So then Baldwin said a bunch, or I think he said previously you said to Pat Brown, maybe in a like testimony in a deposition, previously you said a bunch of law enforcement arrived. Pat said 2 showed up, took information, more arrived later. And Baldwin said they were in uniform with guns. And like Baldwin touched the side of his belt area, like a gun in a holster. And Pat Brown said, yes, they were in uniform and they had guns. Probably because they want to take attention towards maybe law enforcement dropped an unspent round, which would use the same type of bullet that Rick's 6 Hour had. Baldwin said, they walked this area? Yes. You encountered police walking to cemetery? Yes. Lots of police? There was a few. You are a deer hunter? Yes. So Baldwin starts saying, are there scavenger animals out there like turkey buzzards and something else? Diener objected. I think she said it was like outside the relevance. I think Gull said it was sustained, and they moved on. Then Baldwin said, I thought the schools were closed. So he's like maybe saying, why would your daughter be at school and need to call you saying she was sick? And then so Baldwin said, I thought the schools were closed. Oh, that's the next day. So the next day when she was sick, Pat Brown's daughter was sick on the 14th. They had off on the 13th, had to go to school on Tuesday. Next up, Judge Gull. So we were done with Pat Brown. So it's time to ask the jury if they have any questions of Pat Brown. Gull pushed the white noise, and there were a few questions from the jury, and I need to sit up and shut up. All right, we're almost done. An hour and 10 minutes I've been rambling. All right. Ow. Anyway. A few questions from the jury for Pat Brown. This was a very good question. Some of these juror questions are very good. Who was your phone provider? Verizon. We know that Becky Patty was calling AT&T, so Libby had AT&T service, which everybody knows sucks, and Verizon is better. Well, I don't know. Can you hear me now? Keep it moving. So Baldwin was like, well, my wife pays the bills. And I don't know who's our provider is. And Pat Brown said, I do believe Verizon. Take what you will. Next juror question. Approximately how long after you found the bodies did law enforcement show up? Pat said it seemed like forever, 5 minutes tops. The last question, how fast after you found the bodies, so how fast was the crime scene secured? I could not hear, the people around me could not hear. So unfortunately, that question was never answered, or it was answered, but we could not find out the answer. Pat Brown was done. So we'll take him off of here. Judge Gull said at 11:35 a.m. this morning, the next witness, she was told, I guess, by the prosecution, the next witness for them is going to be lengthy. So we were done for the day. So the last note I have for this page is Rick has a yellow legal pad that he seems to write on a lot. And so I saw him like flip over pages of the notepad. And I don't know, this is like a random observation. It seemed like he had like 5 to 10 pages that he had written. Not sure that's accurate, but there were several pages that he flipped over after 2 days of testimony, or 1.5 days. That was page 16. Let me look at my other things here. Oh yeah, so did I mention this before? I think I did. I just wrote down here when Mullen was talking, giving his testimony. Did I say this before? I wrote errors by Mullen. He was asked how many platforms there were. He said 3 to 4, but there's 6. He said it takes about 9 minutes, give or take 2 minutes, from Freedom Bridge to the end of Monon High Bridge. It takes like 20. And I don't think the benches are the same in 2024 as 2017. Finally, I said I have this paper that I'm keeping. You can't see it. It's for on the left-hand side and against on the right-hand side. So as the trial goes on, I'm trying to remember to put on this paper, like if something stands out, is this fact for Rick being guilty or against Rick being guilty? I did not add anything new today. And just the only thing currently against Rick being guilty, like showing he's innocent, was from yesterday. Before the start, like I said yesterday, I was expecting Rick to be acting weird. He seemed like 100% normal, 0% nerves, like totally normal. Today, again, pretty much the same thing. That's it for my recap. And now I'll get to all the comments I've missed for the past hour and 10 minutes. What are we at? We're at 1 hour and 14 minutes. I'll go to like 1:59 or something. I want to go to Turks and Caicos. Hi, Sparky. Hope you had a good vacation. Hi, Trisha. Trisha says, you do realize the way you take notes is a plus for writing a book. I have no plans to write a book. Thank you. Hi, Fake Solves. Nice to see you. You're welcome. You're welcome, everybody, for taking notes. Hi, Aaron. Were you able to catch up and share information with other media and podcasters? Are people sharing info with each other? Thanks for your dedication to this case. No, I went to White Castle and Dairy Queen. They can write their own notes. No, just at the end, we all asked each other, did you hear what Pat Brown said about how long it took to secure this crime scene? And none of us heard what he said. Yeah, I don't know that anybody else is really providing this service of taking detailed notes and doing live chats the same day. Oh, actually, uh-oh, my battery's running low. I thought it was plugged in. Hold on. Or no, please stand by. It's probably better that my computer stops working so I can take a nap. Let me look at this. Somebody said, here we go. Trisha, I watch Lawyer Lee for the legal notes. She is great. Yes, so Lawyer Lee, I met her in line today. She was nice. If you want some more like legal perspective, I'd say look her up. That's that. I think she said she's going to be there the entire trial. Let's see. Hi, SP74. Mears also owns the land north of the creek, from the bridge trails to Logan property. Hi, Jason. I'm not highlighting your Arizona bottle comment. Hi, Luna. Have you met any other YouTubers? Yes, I have. You want to gossip? Luna, did you eat lunch at Dairy Queen? I think Luna's the one who gave me the $10 for the peanut butter, Reese's peanut butter cup. Yes, I got Dairy Queen Blizzard for dessert. Thank you for paying for it. I was full from White Castle, but I felt obligated to get it since you said it was your favorite. All right, I'm skipping. Where are we at here? I'm an hour behind on comments. Yeah, sorry for my little comments. Does anybody want to go miniature golfing tomorrow in Lafayette? I'm filming Cooking with Strangers tomorrow morning, but it's supposed to be a really nice day, and I drove by a miniature golf place, and I normally go miniature golfing once a year with my nephews in the summer, but I don't know. Probably not going to happen tomorrow, but I want to. Hi, Sassy Cat. Is Tom in Delphi? Yes, he's here taking notes for all y'all. Why do you guys make me do everything? Like I have to host live chats against my will, take notes, whatever. I hope you all, I do know that you guys find it, you're very appreciative, so I appreciate you appreciating me. Jason, no, last night I did a live chat of yesterday's notes from the morning. Today's notes were from this morning's 9 to noon session. Monday, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't know how many people are going to be in line, how early. I should be able to at least get into the afternoon session. I don't know. I'll try to keep you guys updated at lunchtime to say if I got in the morning and if I didn't get into the afternoon. I don't know. I currently have scheduled for next week a live chat at 6:30 p.m. Indiana time, Monday through Friday. Hopefully, I'll get into give you guys some updates of some sessions, either morning and afternoon, or one of each. I don't know. Sorry, I'm tired. Josh the Posh, thank you so much. Seriously, anybody who sent me some money, I greatly appreciate your generosity and kindness. Really, I do. Thank you. And I'm not making money. I'm just putting it towards my gas, car rental, and lodging, and an occasional Dairy Queen. Josh, thank you also for being a member for 4 months. Hi, Moonchild. Thank you. I appreciate it. I can't even talk. Normally I can, but I'm so tired right now. Uh-oh. Thanks. I was going to say BM, but that's not good initials. Thanks, Becky, Beaky, Moeller, Bueller. Thank you. What's A? Australia? We love our Australian friends. Thank you, Checkman. Georgina, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. And everybody else. Yeah, they did not say who the next witness is. It was just mentioned that they will be lengthy. Who do you guys think it could be after Pat Brown? Who else was like searching for the bodies? I don't know. Ron Logan, I am still here. You're not the next witness, Ron. Ivy Rose, hello. To Ruckus, I missed Ruckus's comment, sorry. That's what I've argued with people too. He said he saw a bunch of flashlights, but they were west of the bridge going toward town, not in the area where the girls were found. He seemed to confirm that. So I think. So Pat Brown said on the 13th, he went down the ravine from the cemetery. And if you're like going down and pointing with your right arm to that area, like towards, I don't even know, like CPS area, not that area, but just that general direction, that's where he was looking, not more towards Ron Logan's area. Hi, world full of music. Did the perp shut off Libby's phone, took it home to make sure he was not in any app, then returned it to crime scene? Highly doubt that, because police looked at her phone activity and it would have shown somebody looking at her apps between whatever 5 p.m. to 4 a.m. I mean, like some people said, their blood was found in this area. So they had to have been killed where they were found. So if they left the area at 2:30 or whatever, 2:15 on the 13th, south of the creek, how the heck did they get north of the creek the next day? And I don't know, they would have had to walk to the crime scene and then be murdered in the middle of the night and not be heard. And there were people searching at least until 2 a.m. And then they started up around 6 a.m. again. Although I think even earlier than that, because I think once there was a TV report on the 14th, the show started at 6 a.m. And I could have swore the reporter said, we saw people going into the trails an hour earlier to look for the girls. So I'm not sure that I'm really believing that Abby and Libby were taken from the scene and brought back 12 hours later. I don't think so. Hi, Lady Monet. To Trisha, no, there is an eroded ditch ravine between the cemetery and the girls. Very steep with fallen trees. It would be difficult to carry the bodies. Like I just said, enough of their blood was found at the crime scene to indicate they were killed at the crime scene, not killed somewhere else and then carried through searchers or whatever. Hi, Anna. You're welcome. Yeah, I tried my best. My wrist was hurt. My wrist was hurting, and I was glad it was a half day today. I think Judge Gull said she has some activities planned for the jury for the rest of today and tomorrow. I previously mentioned another sequestered jury in Indiana that's gone on a wine tasting tour, I think to a museum and the zoo. So I'm not sure what this jury has in store. But Judge Gull is very kind to the jury and trying to help them out as best as possible. That's my my observation on that. SP74, that whole private drive is the Weber driveway. Yeah, I guess there's no other houses on that. But I think that's also called 625 because that goes out like past another cross street or whatever. And there are some houses at the start. I think at the start of that private drive, there are kind of other driveways. Yeah, I guess Ivy is talking about, so if Rick is the killer and he did kill them by around 3:30, how did he get back to CPS? This has been a huge debate and I've not figured it out because apparently he's not captured walking on 300 between 3 or whatever. We know the driver said she saw him around 3:57 p.m. because that was when her car was captured on Hoosier Harvest Store. We don't know exactly which part of 300 that driver, Sarah Carbaugh, saw Bridge Guy. I don't know when she's going to testify. Maybe late next week. That'll be interesting. Uh-oh, I'm running out of water. I need to end the live chat. Oh God, another half hour. Hi, Anne. Is odd if girls screamed and we don't know if they did, but that's the way it worked out. Certainly a big leap to say that means they were taken somewhere else. Wait, what? Defense stuff. Again, I think we have to remember this man, Bridge Guy, was likely holding a gun, pointing it at them, saying, do what I tell you. If you're in 8th grade, are you really going to scream and risk the next second this guy pulls the trigger and kills you and your best friend? It's not just about you. It's about if you scream, he's going to kill you and then he's going to kill your friend. I don't know. I don't know that we can really speculate how people or eighth grade girls would react when a man points a gun at you, says go down the hill, and who knows what else he threatened them with. I'm not saying Rick, I'm just saying like bridge guy in general. Anna Lisette, rustling downhill. The leaves were crunchy. Sounds like, well, still, I mean, it's pretty far, like from the private drive to like coming down that ravine from the cemetery. I was surprised to hear that Jake John said he could hear Pat Brown walking down. We are all vultures. Hi. Speak for yourself. I'm kidding. I want to know why Abby had Libby's clothes on. I do too. And yesterday it was revealed that Abby had her shoes on but no socks. So how did it get to that point? And she had Libby's sweatshirt and Libby's jeans too. But I don't think it ever was revealed if she also had, if Abby was wearing her jeans and Libby's jeans on top of that. We'll see. Hi, Trisha. Did they ever check that little shed-like building? That has not been revealed from what I've seen. Lady Monet, I've seen YouTubers going from the cemetery and fall down. I'm not laughing. You are. Hi, Sienna. I don't know. What did Tom do now? Uh-oh. Yonder says, how are they meant to scream with stab wounds? Good point. I mean, like, we don't even know if what direction they were facing when they got their wounds. Did he tell them to turn around and like pointed a gun at them and say, just turn around, not knowing what's next? And then that's when he cut them. We don't know how this played out. Hi, Providence. Let me skip over a bunch of stuff. Ron Logan, stop. The SMH-70 Harrison, Tom, you can't question in any way why nobody heard the victim scream. Your moderators consider that victim shaming? I'm not sure what that's about. You guys, I'm just like one of you, and I just host these live chats because none of you will do it. Well, some of you will do it, but I'm not acting like I am better than any of you. I'm just sharing my opinion. Just because I'm like on camera doesn't mean I can't share my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right about anything. So feel free to disagree. Lady Monet, I live in Indiana and walked in woods. Wind, valleys, etc. affect how the sound travels. Thank you, Necessary Evil. And hello. Yeah, hi, Stargirl. Yeah, love it that the jury can ask questions during the proceedings. I think that's a really good thing to really ask them when the witness is there, and I think it's good. Since they're the ones that are going to make the decision, so why not give them the opportunity at this point? Yeah, so for years there's been rumors about who found the girls. I mean, with today, it seems like Pat Brown was the first person to see them, although Melissa Marchand, I guess, was close by also. Yeah, Ivy was referencing some of the other rumors. And can you tell us anything about the jury? You just wanted to get me arrested. I'm going to be in Carroll County Jail. Nothing specific, just women, men, numbers, or general ages. Well, it's known publicly that it's 8 women and 4 men. General ages, I say, some people have said it's older people, but I think it's a decent mix. I think I'm allowed to say that. Somebody's going to turn me into Sheriff Liggett. I saw Sheriff Liggett today. He walked through the front part, and some people were there, I think, since 3 a.m. I got there at 5:30 a.m. today. He said it looked like a homeless encampment, but he was joking, but he was polite and said good morning. Yes, Josh the Posh, White Castle still exists. I tried the chicken and waffle thing. It wasn't that good. For those of you wondering what I got a #1 with the 4 originals. The chicken and waffle, which wasn't good, and then 1921 or 1929 that it was like too healthy. It had lettuce in it and a tomato. If you're gonna get White Castle, you don't eat healthy. And a root beer. Here we go. Any other questions you guys have about these witnesses? Let me skip over a bunch of stuff. Sorry if I don't get to your comment. As always, please be polite or the moderators will ban you. Trisha, judges are probably scared of YouTube influencers. I don't know about Judge Gull. Judge Gull did not yell at anybody today, so that was good. Wait, you want to see something? What am I? So this guy was in line wearing this boa with a red hat. I don't know if it's called a fedora or not. I don't know. And like this bedazzled red, white, and black suit jacket. No, it was not Aspen Connor. And it was not me either. I saw it and I was like, that's really inappropriate to be wearing like a boa feather thing at like the murder trial of 2 kids. He left after like 20 minutes and like that fell on the floor and I just thought it was disrespectful to have it on the floor, so I picked it up and put it in my backpack. Anyway, oh, sorry. Trisha said Gull will probably seal it at the rate she's going. I thought you said sell. So yesterday she confiscated 3 photo cameras and 1 video camera because she said, I guess the police saw some media taking video of the jurors coming in, but I think in the day since they said they were not. So I thought you said Gull is probably going to sell those cameras like on Craigslist or something, or eBay. Anne says, to me, theories making all this incredibly complex are mistaken distractions. At some level, this was simply a violent sexual assault perp assaulting and fatally attacking 2 innocent girls and then running away. Well, apparently in Rick's confessions, he has said things that for the motive, and I don't know if he said how it went down. If you missed yesterday, there's been this reference to, and Rick was interrupted. He wanted to, McClellan said Rick wanted to have his way with them, but he was interrupted. Then they crossed the creek. So the interruption happened on the south side of the creek, not after they crossed. It has not been revealed anything more at this point. I had always thought the interruption was on the north side of the creek. Oscar makes a good point. This trial should have been late 2017, and I should have never heard of this case. Correct. It should have been, if Rick is truly Bridge Guy, it should have been wrapped up a long time ago. Wondering when Dan Doolin is going to testify. It'll be after like the events of the 13th and stuff. And 14th, sorry. Jason, gagging is a more likely thought. So maybe I don't know if you guys, I missed some of these comments, sorry. So Abby's 2 socks were missing from her feet. I don't know. Are some people saying maybe he put their socks in their mouths to prevent them from screaming? I'm not sure. Wouldn't he have to have like duct tape to also attach it to their face? Lady Monet, old rock quarry up the creek also. Hi, devoted to Mariah. It's almost Mariah season in 12 more days. Anna Lisette, some of the rumors we've heard about caves and similar seem to have some basis in fact, but like Pat Brown said, that cave or whatever, it's totally collapsed and grown over. And that's debatable. What I did sleep okay last night, but hopefully tonight will be better. Mags, Pat is not involved. Hopefully you can go back and watch his testimony that I reviewed. Let me keep going. SP74, he said mannequins. Oh, here we go. Hi, Steph. Mannequins, according to another source. Okay, thank you, everybody, for clarifying. I did not hear if Pat Brown said he thought originally they were males or mannequins, and people are saying he said mannequins. Thank you. Yeah, we are all vultures. Finding a dead person would be terrible, but two children, yeah, he was crying at some point, just remembering what he walked up upon. Sorry, just looking for some other topics. Hi, Scott. He left them in that area so he would have time to get away, but I don't think he knew he was going to have that much time. I think yesterday the defense said, how could this man, I don't know if they said it yesterday, so I don't want to say. Well, I was going to say, how did one person or Rick do all these things? I don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry, strike that from the record. Lady Monet, there is video of the firemen in the creek searching east to west. I don't know if that's true. There is helicopter footage of a dive search team in like their, I don't want to say scuba gear. I don't think it's firemen in the fire gear. I'm just like clarifying that one description. Sorry. Did any of the, oh, actually, no, yeah. Did any of the other people who were there hear what Pat Brown's final answer was? How long after you found the bodies was the scene secured? However, Pat Brown then walked down to the creek and police said, go back out the way you came in. So I'm not sure that by the time he did that, if any other police officers were just hanging out, I don't want to say hang out, but were at the actual crime scene. It seems like the person who got closest was Pat Brown at about 5 feet away. Georgina makes a good point. Well, hard to get a signal if Abby's, sorry, if, let me just read it as it's written. Well, hard to get a signal if it was under a body. Yes. Not just that, it was the phone on the ground, Libby's sneaker on top of it, and then Abby's body on top of that. Which to me, I wonder, did the killer do that specifically to prevent the cell phone signal from hitting the tower? So the phone could not be tracked. And it gave more time, I guess, until the bodies were found. Don't know, but it seems very odd that like a phone and a sneaker and then a body seems more than random. Ivy, hi, did I say hi to you again? Would Cheyenne, so Cheyenne is one of the 4 people on the bridge, I think between like 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock on the 13th. Would Cheyenne be the first person to get to the bridge after the girls were abducted, or Flannel Shirt Guy, or Daniel Pearson and the female he was with? Cheyenne, I've seen some text messages or Facebook messages. Cheyenne said Daniel Pearson and the girl got to the bridge before she did. And I think she said she got there around 2:50 p.m. So she essentially was on the bridge around 3 o'clock. But I think it's important to remember Libby's phone stopped moving at 2:32 p.m. You two bad actors, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hi, Illegally Blonde. Nice to see you, and thank you for loving me. Hi, another Amy. Thank you so much for your generosity. Also, Rosie from the UK with that symbol. Thank you so much. Hi, John, and your pooch. Your pooch has a nice smile. Thank you. Is that Nick McClelland's photo? Hi, BGOJ. You're welcome. Hi, Deb. We're at 142. I'm probably going to go to 149. I need a nap. Sorry. I'm looking at comments. I'm not asleep with my eyes open. Deb's True Crime Notebook. I think when Jake Johns told John Weaver he saw Libby's shirt in the water, Weaver jumped to a conclusion that it was on Libby, and that is where the girls were found and the water rumor came from. That's a good observation, Deb. So I guess John Weaver was the name of the fireman. I don't think that was referenced today. Yeah, Jake Johns did not reference the name. Oh no, he said E. Harrison from Camden. Right? Does anybody remember that? Scott says Richard Allen decided to take off when the phone kept ringing and he couldn't take it with him, but I'm surprised he didn't throw it in the river if he knew it was there. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this. So Libby's dad called her at 3:11 and 3:14. That's an hour after they were abducted. I think they were deceased by that time. Whether Bridge Guy saw the phone ringing and saw like Libby's dad listed as like dad calling twice in 3 minutes, and that caused Rick to maybe stop putting or not Rick, I don't know, whatever, Bridge Guy. I don't know if he's Bridge Guy. If that stopped Bridge Guy from putting sticks and branches on them because he was afraid the dad was going to come looking for them, so he put it like under the shoe and then under the body. I'm not sure. I would want to know, was there anything on the phone that indicated Bridge Guy touched it, even with gloves on? Was there any blood on the phone? Yeah, I'm tired. Hi, Malibu. 100% normal is against Richard Allen. I don't know, I guess you mean his general demeanor, unless he's medicated. Somebody was saying that there are jury consultants. So the defense team and maybe some jury consultants are telling Rick, here's how to act in front of the jury. I've not really noticed any difference between when the jury is there and when not. Again, it's like day 2 of 30. I'm not accusing Rick of acting anyway, like purposefully. I'm just saying, like, legit, the thing I've most been surprised about is how normal Rick has been. Yeah, today he was not really waving to the crowd and smiling as much as he was yesterday. That's that. 13 more minutes. Yonder, yes, that was an excellent question from the juror about which phone company was Pat Brown's phone that worked 5 feet from the bodies, and he said Verizon. whereas Libby had AT&T, and I'm not sure if there's been any tests. I know that there's a YouTube channel called, what's it called? True Crime Web. The guy's name is Steve, and his wife, Mrs. Steve. They went out to the crime scene at night. Actually, some of them were in a truck in a cemetery or a car, while Steve like walked down this treacherous ravine at night with his cell phone, and they were trying to see where his phone signal would show, and apparently it showed like all over Delphi, even though he was in the woods. I don't have a direct link to that video, but if you want to look it up, I guess look up True Crime Web on YouTube. I don't know, phone pings or something like that. Hi, Mark. Thank you. Hi, Teddy. I don't know what time I'm going to be there on Monday. Today they let us in at 8:30, not 8. And so the trial starts at 9 o'clock. It's cold out there. CJK, at least your book would be interesting and intelligently written. Well, I don't know what I would say that I have not already said in a live chat or a video about the case. Bryce, did you hear Fran Gull yell at Ali Mata? That did not happen as far as I saw. Missy Elliott, hi. Andrea Burkhart, I'm not sure who that is also reporting same day. Well, you just answered my question. She's a lawyer on YouTube. She pays more attention to the law side, so the fact that Tom is paying attention to the courtroom as a whole is important. Ah, okay, yeah, I'm not saying pay attention to me. I would say pay attention to the lawyers more than me. Please. Here's a good comment. I love Dairy Queen blizzards. We can all agree on that. That's the only thing we can agree on. My sweater is South Park. I used to wear this at work, and some woman called me Dobie, like Dobie Gillis, the actor John Denver who played Gilligan on Gilligan's Island. Apparently, he was on another series, and so she called me Dobie. She called me, be like, "Hey, Dobie." She never called me Tom, although I said, "I think you're calling me Dopey," just pretending you're calling me Dobie. Anyway, keep it moving. Hi, Jojo. Thank you. You're welcome. Trisha, I already answered this. 4 plus 4 originals, 1 chicken and waffles, and 1 healthy one that was disgusting. Turks, hi, JK Jen. Turks and Caicos is an island. That's nice. CJK, hold on. I'm down to the end of my thing. We're almost done. 9 more minutes. Do you feel safe knowing the roving patrol is out and about in Delphi? Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. Hi, Lisbeth. Yes, Lawyer Lee was I met her in the line today, and she was nice. Smarter than Tom. Hi, Crime Crazy. Sorry to hear about this. Just catching up. When my brother was murdered, we could not allow my dad into the courtroom because we thought he could have got to the accused, even though they in a dock here. Yeah, so there's 2 to 3 law enforcement officers in suits, not police outfits, by Rick pretty much all the time. So ain't nobody gonna hurt Rick. Yes, again, I suggest going to Dairy Queen. Yes, somebody once said, you look like you're being held hostage during a live chat, and I said, that's the look I'm going for. Thank you. No, hi Roman. I have not seen Rick's daughter there at all. Today you guys are nosy, so on Rick's side of the family, I'm pretty sure his mom was there today. Rick's wife. There's another woman who looks a lot like Rick's wife, so I think it's his sister. And I'm not sure exactly who else was in that row. It was like 2 or 3 other women. For Libby's family, it was Mike, her grandfather, Becky, her grandmother, and Kelsey, her aunt, and her mom, Carrie. For Abby's family, I think it was her mom's parents. I don't think I saw Anna today. Deb's True Crime Notebook. You need to film a Cooking with Strangers. Oh, sorry. You need to film a Cooking with Purdue RN. She's a master chef and a great teacher. Then I'll come over and eat what you cook. Sounds good to me. I'm filming Cooking with Strangers tomorrow. And maybe another one next weekend. Yes, again, thank you so much to anybody who sent some money to help me pay for lodging and car rental. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you. Not just in this chat, but also on PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you. Zoe wants to know my plans. How long do you plan to stay in Delphi? So currently, I'm moving out of this place tomorrow, going to another place for Monday through Saturday. That's all I've booked. I don't know. It's just so expensive. So I don't know. My two main issues for staying the entire trial, like I'm just keeping it real, are money and paying for the car and lodging. Even though a few people have offered to let me stay, I just do not like people doing nice things for me, and I don't want to like impose, even though I'm a very quiet house guest and I don't make a mess. I just don't like staying at other people's places and imposing. The second issue is getting into the trial. Like I said, the first night, people started lining up at 8 o'clock, and I got there at 9:30 p.m. I could not sleep outside at all. And plus, it was like freezing as hell, although hell is hot. Anyway, keep it moving. So my two issues, honestly, are just like paying for it and getting into the morning and afternoon sessions. So what's been happening is you go in there in the morning, and the first day they let in 24 people from the public. So I did get in. Then they have us re-queuing for the afternoon sessions, which we did not know. So even though I stayed in line for like 11 hours the first night, I only got in for 9 o'clock to noon. Then I lined up for I tried to sleep in my car at lunch yesterday. I could not. So I get back in the second line and I got cut off exactly. I was like the last person to whatever. The person in front of me was the last person in. So, I mean, if I was guaranteed to get in every day for the rest of the trial, it seems like so many people are appreciating me taking detailed notes and giving a live chat that day. I feel kind of obligated to keep doing it for all of you nice people. So we'll see how this week goes with my money situation and getting into both the morning and afternoon sessions. We are at 1 hour and 55 minutes. I'll do 4 more minutes. And I am like 45 minutes behind. Let me scroll and take my last sip. Hi, Lala. Did Tom say Pat Brown went to Ron Logan's at 3? Ron Logan said in his interview it was 6:30. No, it was not 3. Pat Brown ate dinner, then went to Ron Logan's, and he said it was dark at the time. So, yes, 6:30 seems to be correct. Yeah, Rick does not have a beard. He's clean shaven. Hey, darling. I don't know what this is about. Zoe says, "Is it true? Did you see the video? They've not played the video yet. The only thing I've seen on the screen are like Google satellite maps and error messages." Who's your girl loves White Castle? 3 more minutes. Anna, the last time I saw a guy with a red feather boa, he was a pimp in Portland, Oregon. Yeah, this guy said he was at the Kyle Rittenhouse trial in Illinois or something. I don't know. Search that on. Let me search it real quick. No, I was gonna say F it, but that's probably not a good thing to say. We're almost done, you guys. Hi, Jessica. What's going up on Monday? The only thing we know is that it's going to be a lengthy witness. So who would come after Pat Brown? So Pat Brown, so Jake Johns talked about seeing the clothing. Pat Brown talked about finding the bodies. What would be next? Maybe a police officer talking about how the police then followed up? Who would that be? I don't know. Barbara, were the murder sheet authors there today? Yes, I sat next to them. I stood next to them in line. They are very nice people. I know some people have nasty comments. Leave your nasty comments for Reddit. We only say nice things about people here, or we don't type it and click send. Don't say anything rude or you'll be banned by the moderators. We're almost done. One more minute. One more comment. Here we go. Let me scroll. I'm a half hour behind. I'll end with a nice Deb's True Crime Notebook. Deb gives some updates on her channel, so search YouTube for Deb's True Crime Notebook. Final comment and final 60 seconds. It is possible that Libby hid that phone in her shoe and then placed it under Libby's leg at some point before she was killed. Maybe Bridge Guy made Libby redress Abby while Abby was unconscious. Yeah, because Abby did not have any blood on her hands, but her throat was cut. So will we find out somehow that Abby was unconscious when her throat was slit? If so, how did she get unconscious? I don't know. So I will see you Monday. Again, I've scheduled every live chat for next week for 6:30 p.m. Eastern Indiana time. Not sure if I'm going to get in. Hopefully I'll get into at least one session. As always, I'll be taking as many detailed notes as I can. Hopefully my handwriting will improve so I don't have to waste time saying, I'm not sure what this says. Again, thank you so much for joining, sharing your thoughts, and sharing your donations to help me with travel costs. I truly appreciate every single person. I'm going to take a nap or do something more fun. Bye, everybody. Thank you.